One of the findings from GAO had to do with technology and technology readiness assessment, which you note is not necessarily a matter of new technology, but perhaps it could be existing technology applied in a new way, or certainly existing technology applied on a new kind of ship. That certainly theoretically makes sense. Are there GAO examples where you have found that, and now you're applying that lesson to this particular analysis, or is this a theory, only theory?
This is a typical finding that we found in a lot of our shipbuilding acquisition work. When the technology has not been demonstrated as mature, they end up having to be reworked later, or doing design concurrently, or doing testing concurrently, and then ultimately you end up, it's costing more and the schedule goes a little further. But as we mentioned earlier, the Coast Guard and DHS did concur with our recommendation. They are moving forward to do this technology readiness assessment because, yes, the technologies have been used in different vessels, in like the medium and other international icebreakers, but they're not in the same form, fit, and function that the polar security cutter would be doing, and that's a bit unique. So we want that to be tested out in a standard type of process, which is in the technology readiness assessment process. And then also, it's important that although these key components are state of the market, a lot of times we've been shown in a lot of our past shipbuilding work, integration is always a big challenge. You haven't integrated them together. So again, doing that assessment doesn't get rid of the risk, it just lays it out so that the Coast Guard can be more aware of the risk and figure out mitigation strategies ahead of time. That's really what this assessment is for.
Yeah, and unfortunately, integration has been a problem, not just the Coast Guard, but
right.
with other shipbuilding activities.
Absolutely, yeah. Yes.
Admiral Busby, what options has MARAD, so I'm flipping issues here. What options has MARAD identified to reverse the decline in the size and the tonnage of the U.S. flag fleet in foreign trade? And of those options, have you assessed which are most viable?
Tough question, sir. As was pointed out by Ranking Member Garamonde, it really comes down.
I'm sorry, you got about a minute because I just got called to vote for the caucus.
It really comes down to cargo. Having more ships. I mean, we can all will and want to have more ships, but unless there's something for them to carry, it's kind of a moot point. So things that we can do to get more cargo, I mean, he mentioned some of them, taking advantage of some of the exports that we have. Automobiles as well. We export a lot of automobiles from this country. There's a lot of things, grain, agricultural items. We have to really, I think, take a serious look at, what of those do we think makes sense through cargo preference or bilaterals or whatever to share some of that cargo so that we can have justification for having more vessels to carry that. Same thing with government impaled cargo. There's three pieces to maritime security program. It's the stipend that the government provides, it's government cargo, and it's commercial cargo. All of those have to be present for this to work.
We'll probably have some follow-up with you early in the next year, but thanks a lot. Appreciate it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Larsen. I appreciate it. If there are no further questions,